Do you ever watch the pros and they got fast hands, quick transactions, and they react to everything? They get every ball back. Well, what if I told you it's not just their reaction time, but it's their ready position? That's what we're going to talk about today. All things ready position. Let's jump right into it. Welcome back to Pickleball Journey, where we release weekly videos to help you on your pickleball journey. The most important thing about ready position is the paddle's position. So let's talk about the paddle position, and we're going to refer to 3 areas for the rest of this video. Our great editor is going to highlight those. The first area is between the ankle and the knee. The second area is between the knee and the waist. And the third area is between the waist and the shoulders. Now, when we refer to these 3 areas, we're talking about the average height. So between 5 and 6 feet. If you're higher than 6 feet, or you're taller than 6 feet, or you're shorter than 5 feet, make sure you're making the adjustments accordingly. All right, we're gonna start at the baseline and work our way to the kitchen line in our certain ready positions. So the ready position we should have when we're at the baseline, whether it's a return to serve, whether we've served the ball and stayed back, right? Make sure that we have a good wide stance. We're at slight bend in the knees, right? But the most important thing is our paddle position. The paddle position is going to be at the top of area 1, so around the knees. We want to make sure it's down here because most of our shots, whether it's a drive, whether it's a drop, is going to be around that area. So we want to put the paddle, this is going to be a general theme throughout the video, we want to put the paddle where the ball we think is going to end up. So in this case, most of the time, the ball is going to end up around my knees, whether I'm hitting a drive or drop. So make sure that in our ready position, we're in this position instead of this, because the ball is going to end up around here anyways when we're dropping or driving. So let's get ready in that position with the paddle nice and low. All right, so the second area is the transition zone, okay? Now, in the transition zone, we are most likely going to get a ball that's low to our feet again. So where are we going to put our paddle? Are we going to put our paddle low? We're going to put it in kind of area 1, area 2, or area 3. You pick. You're right, area 1. So we want to make sure that we're putting our paddle in area 1 because our feet are still vulnerable. If they hit a ball high enough to area 2 or 3, the ball is most likely going to go out, okay? If it's going fast enough. Now, if it's going slow enough, we have time to bring our paddle from here all the way up to here. So we want to make sure that our paddle is being put in the spot that we're going to receive the ball the fastest, right? Whatever they can hit the hardest, that's where we're putting our paddle. So when you're in the transition zone, great position should always be, like we said, wide stance, bend in the knees, and our paddle is going to be low in that area 1. Before we continue, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the videos coming up next. All right, now we've made it all the way up to the kitchen line. We have the banner here as my opponent, and we're going to talk about all the ready positions we're going to be in at that kitchen line. Now, if we've made it past the transition zone, we've more than likely hit a low ball to our opponent, because if we didn't hit a low ball, then we'd be still in the transition zone, okay? So we need to make sure that we're closing, when we hit a good shot, we're closing the kitchen, and that good shot's gonna be down by their feet, right? More than likely. Now, if that ball is low to them, where I'm gonna have my ready position in my paddle, still I have my athletic stance, slight bend in the knees, I'm gonna put my paddle in position 3. So position 3 being between the waist and the shoulder. So I'm going to have it right there in the middle because I want to make sure that my paddle is in a position where I can receive the ball the quickest. Now, the reason I don't have the paddle above my shoulders is because if the ball is being hit fast above my shoulders, it's most likely going to go out. And if I receive something like an overhead, right, that's a little bit slower, I have time to bring my paddle up and be able to crush it down. But if they're speeding it up fast from a low point, I gotta make sure that my paddle is in that position 3 to be able to counter it most effectively. A lot of times I see beginners have their paddle low when they're dinking or a shot is being hit low to their opponents, and they're not in the proper position with the paddle to be able to receive a ball that's faster, right? So make sure that in this scenario, when your opponent is getting a low ball, you have your paddle in that position 3. All right, now let's talk about another situation at the kitchen. So we've gotten to the kitchen, we had our we hit that drop, and we had our paddle in position 3, and now we're just dink battling back and forth, right? We're dink battling, and then all of a sudden I decide I want to speed the ball up. So say I speed the ball up to my opponent, right? Now, if they counter that and they attack, where are they going to be able to expose? They're going to be able to expose my feet. Also, if I just accidentally pop the ball up a little bit higher, like a high dink or something, and now they have a high contact, where do you think my ready position is going to be? Do you think my paddle is going to be in position 1? Do you think it's going to be in position 2 or position 3? Well, you're right. It's going to be in position 1. The reason being is, where can they hit the ball the hardest? They can hit the ball the hardest at my feet from that higher position. So make sure that if we even want to take a step back and get our paddle down to be able to block down there, that's ideal, okay? But we want to make sure our paddle goes low so that the paddle is in position to receive the ball most effectively. If they hit it really hard at our shoulders, more than likely it's going to go out. But we want to be ready where we think the ball is going to go. All right, now you might be asking, is there ever a time that you're going to be in position 2? Well, if position 1, we're receiving a ball that's coming from high, and position 3, we're receiving a ball that's coming from low, where do you think position 2 would be? Well, you're right, when we're receiving a ball kind of medium. So a lot of times when we get in those fast hands and you see the quick hands back and forth, the opponent is getting ready and you're getting ready in that position 2 zone. So whenever the opponent receives a ball around that middle level, you want to make sure that you're ready in that middle level, because that's most likely where you're going to receive the ball fast. Now you could receive the ball in position 3, but it's a pretty quick change from position 2 to position 3. But if you're in those fast hands, we want to keep our paddle between the knees and the waist in that position 2 so that we have those fast hands. Now that can quickly change. If I pop the ball up, I'm going to be going down to position 1. And if I get the ball to their feet, then I'm going to go up to position 3. So there's a lot of fluidity to your position of the paddle every time you hit a ball. And that's where perception comes in, and we're going to talk about that in a sec. Now we can have the knowledge of paddle position in that ready position all we want, but if we're not perceptive or we're not anticipating the ball that is coming off of our paddle, it's going to be hard for us to know where our paddle needs to be, right? So make sure that the earlier we understand how we hit the ball, the better we're going to be prepared to where we need to put our paddle. So for example, if I'm dinking with the banner here and we're in a dink battle, the minute I hit the ball, if I know right when I hit that ball if it's going to be a good shot low or a bad shot back, the quicker that I can get my paddle in the proper position in order to receive the ball. So a lot of players, they hit the ball and they have no idea how that's coming off their paddle. They don't know if it's high, they don't know if it's low. So make sure that you're being intentional about understanding how you're hitting the ball. As soon as it comes off your paddle, do we know if it's going to be high? Do we know if it's going to be low? And practice perceiving that so that you're able to put your paddle in the right position to anticipate the next shot. That's going to be the key to making sure that we're ready every single time we hit the ball.
Before you go, be sure to check out Carbon Pickleball and use code PBJourney10 for 10% off any paddle or Carbon Pickleball gear.